All right, folks, this language, I feel like, is part of the generic cult baby experience. Ready? When you say, I grew up in, and the next word out of your mouth is not locational data, I think you are a cult baby. I grew up in Amway, so I signed up when I was old enough. How did you grow up in a company? Yeah, it was a cult. I grew up in the Children of God cult, wrote this book about it, and then going into the US Army, where we also say, I grew up in the Army. Military brats say I grew up in the military, but also in the branches of the military, at least in the Army, where I was a captain, we say, yeah, when I was growing up in the Army, to be like, when I was a lieutenant, when I was a specialist in basic training, growing up in. My child, knitting cult baby, is not growing up anywhere but in Maryland. She's not growing up in any organization. I also think that when we say we have to leave, I had to leave the family. That's what the Children of God rebranded as. I have to leave the Army, but I quit my job at Microsoft. Just something. Not every time does that one make it a cult, but it makes me listen harder. But when you say I grew up in, when I found out the Salvation Army had a religious component, and I was like, holy F, I need to hear stories about the Salvation Army. And immediately Salvation Army cult babies, y'all were like, oh, I grew up in the Salvation Army. I'll tell you everything you need to know. And I was like, oh, you just did. You just did. Right there. One thing that I have found by writing my next book, Culting of America, with a 36-page bibliography, a very thorough literature review, if you will, is that every working cult expert has said that all cults are the same, which means there's a generic cult baby experience. And I'm trying to help find the language for that, and this is one of them. Hey, you can get copies of Uncultured signed right here, or you can listen to me read it to you on Spotify Premium or anywhere else you get your audiobooks. Have a day. Don't raise your kids in groups.